I think that's one of the things that I love about going to Strategic Coach. The same thing. I think while I love agriculture, I love the people in agriculture, I also do find at times that we kind of live in this little bubble, and we get really frustrated that, you know, everyone outside our bubble doesn't understand us. But how often are we really engaging with people outside of agriculture that don't understand anything about it? So, you know, I think for me, one of the things that's become clear, and it took me a long time to kind of figure this out. It was just kind of always there in underlying things. But for me, it really comes back to kind of the tagline for the farm, that growing our future, and the kind of idea behind this podcast as well, is just, I want to do things that help make it better for the next generations and more sustainable. I know that word is kind of overused and abused, but I just look at, as long as we're doing things better than we were yesterday, and sharing that knowledge, learning together, helping us all move forward and grow the pie bigger. So for me, that's about, I think we have the opportunity to influence things more than just within our own community or our own industry. I think the world is going to change dramatically. It will be so interesting to look back at today, what's going on today. I think this event is going to be something that will go down in history, but also moving forward. I think that through technology, and things are going to change dramatically, whether it's vertical farming or the protein or things like that. So even in 10 or 15 years from now, I think we're going to come back around where the use of technology and science and information is going to become more abundant. And I think, I feel like it's going to tie things back together again a bit more. You know, really, when you think about this idea of connecting health and connecting all these things through the industrialization of our world and expanding that way, we really kind of got away from that. Because back in the day, whether, you know, you were living in a band of Indians, right? You had your medicine doctor, and you used the food that was around and the plants for healing, and you really were in touch with food and what you needed for health and those kind of things. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. But I was also on the same lines gonna ask Holden, you know, thinking about all these things, and if you eventually want to become a farmer and what the world's going to look like then, what do you feel that the most important thing for you to do will be, or what's your, you know, biggest goal or passion that you may have right now for the future?
Well, my biggest goal for the future would probably be to like expand the farm, to do like more things and like just help out the world more, like all farms. Try and like just push everybody to do more to help the need.
I think that's awesome. And you know, if you're growing 9 crops today, and you know, in 10 years from now, it's probably not unreasonable to think you could be growing 20 different types of food on your farm. And that, you know, the more food you're growing, the more families you're helping. And you're also, you know, your farm's always been kind of at that leading edge. And so that learning that you're going through will, through just education and information, to teach other farms around the world to do what you're doing. So you'll probably go through some learnings like I know Terry and I went through, and, you know, 15 years ago on our farms, and trying to get certain land to do certain things that it just couldn't, and adjusting that way. But just think, Terry, about what the learning that Holden gets to do on that same land, trying to grow new crops. Or maybe he's not, maybe he's putting a building on that land with some lights in it and doing something there that he's learning about. So that's pretty awesome for me to hear, and even just to look forward to and watch from afar. So
yeah, it's going to be interesting. Earlier today, I'm going through all these old hard drives, trying to consolidate our pictures and photos and also our all of our data, old, application data and stuff like this. And it's interesting. I think so far I've found stuff back to 2004, 2006, and even just looking at spreadsheets for the crop plan way back then. And it seems like a long time ago, but wasn't that long ago. It's incredible how much things change, especially with technology. And so it's hard to even fathom the type of things that, Holden will be dealing with if he does take over the farm. But it's pretty cool either way. And I think there's a lot of opportunity out there, and it's really just how you want to look at it. You can look at all these things as challenges. You can look at what we're going through today in the world as a huge challenge, and there's no doubt it is. But it's also incredible to see the innovation, the resiliency, and what we're going to learn. And it'll be really interesting to see how this affects all of us, but especially the younger generations, probably anyone under 50 or under 40 years old, because we've never lived through any challenge in North America. Theoretically, I don't remember living through a war or a drought or really, I mean, I guess there was a 2008 depression or crash and those kind of things, but really, I mean, it affected life, but not the way this is, and not on this kind of scale, right? So I just think that'll really change how people look at things. I was talking with our neighbors at the lake here of a week or so ago, and they were in quarantine from coming back from the US, and we were kind of talking across the fence. I was joking, it was like the Tool time, the old Tool time, talking across the fence there, if you're old enough to remember that. But they were talking about at one point they just kind of commented, it's like, well, maybe this isn't such a bad thing, because it'll help bring a bit of a dose of reality to all the young people there that've never experienced anything like this before, right? And they've lived through stuff like that, right? And the wars, and so it'll be, I think it's going to force people to reconnect with reality. I think we all were getting a long ways away from the reality of the world and food and finance and security and all of these things. And so I think it's already, you see the kind of conversations, you see things that are happening, and it is affecting agriculture. I mean, I think we're lucky to be in agriculture, and people are really going to rely on this time. But one of the things that's already happening, for instance, is hearing like malt barley prices for new crop are really going down, because hey, people are probably still drinking at home a lot. But with all the bars, all the restaurants, all those things shut down, all the sporting events, the demand for beer overall is just gone way down, right? And will be for the next few months or a year. No,
we're I think there's impacts that we haven't yet started to measure that will start to become more obvious, and that, you're right, Terry. I've also felt like I consider myself in the younger generation still. This is a wake up call. It truly is, but a good one, and a good thing that, at least that's the mindset that I have within the current situation. I'm blessed with my health. I'm blessed with my family. I'm blessed with, the resources to provide. And so I think with that, it has we probably just got too busy, and we didn't have the time to consider these things that are a part of home economics and the 8 things. And so check out the eight things of home economics. But that's where I'm at. And this conversation has been awesome for me today. To think what we've covered and talked about, and holding your perspective as well has been great. The fact that you're seeing what you're seeing and living through what you're doing, but also doing so well about it, and seeing the future is full of opportunity for feeding and giving back. So congrats to both of you on that. So,
Holden, for you, what's the biggest thing so far? What do you think the biggest mindset or change in how you think or how you look at things? What's the biggest thing that's going to change for you going through what we're going through right now?
Probably not seeing my friends, because like they're my friends, and like I kind of feel like I don't really know. Just kind of feels like the world's just like on pause right now.
Mm-hmm. Well, the thing is, if something like this happened 15, 20 years ago, you would feel even more disconnected, because this technology that we're using right now, it didn't exist. You can play Fortnite with your buddies and chat with them, or video call, and it's interesting to see how people are connecting. But the other thing I think that's been huge is this: I think people underestimated, or we all maybe took for granted how important that human interaction is. And again, I think it's forced all of us to really think about the relationships and those kind of things. I was talking with a friend the other day about this. Is, for the most part, I think for us, it's been really good. It's kind of reconnected, and it forces you also to work through some challenges with the people that, if you have that in your relationships, and hopefully that makes it stronger. But there's also people out there that are living in challenging relationships or abusive relationships, and now they really have nowhere to go. And, so some of those things are a little bit scary to think about too, but we're lucky to kind of be where we're at and have the family that we have around us. Because it's one of the things I've always said with our family is, at the end of the day, no matter what happens, you'll have your family, and this is kind of that example where if we're all doing our part in quarantine and stuff, we're with our families, and that's it, right?
Yeah, totally.
But that's super cool. I think kind of reached the end of the road of the conversation for today. So it was a little different than we normally chat about, but we're also living in a little different times, but excited to see what happens as we move forward. Thanks for taking the time, Warren, today. Thanks, Holden. And
thanks, Terry.
It'll be really interesting to see what kind of world we have in another year or so from now. It'll be interesting to see, will we all go back to the same habits that we had before and the same trends, or I think there's definitely going to be a few things that are a little different, or we think about a little bit harder if that activity or the money we were spending on, or those trips that we traveled on, if they really were providing you as much value as you thought, or if you're tending to enjoy some of the simpler things in life a little more. So
thanks so much, Terry, Holden. You guys have a great Easter weekend together. I know we're going to have it here. We're going to have way too much ham because there's not as many people eating it, but ham for weeks. So take care. Thanks so much.
Yeah, you too. Thanks a lot, guys. Till the next time. Okay. Well, I think we're good. So I just had a little tiny hard stop moment, because I just was like getting ready to shut off the recording. I'm like, did I actually have a recording? I'm like, oh yeah, it's recording. I'm just like, oh, can we just do that all again? So anyways,
on my screen it still says it's recording.
Yeah, it's still recording. So
yeah,
we'll probably get that in the bloopers now.
I think I called in from my phone so my audio wouldn't drop, but my video might have cut out once.
It did once,
so
but not a big deal. I think it was good. But yeah, you have a great time with the family, and
we'll do.
It was
you guys
fun,
are at the lake for the weekend then?
Yeah, I think so. We'll probably go back to the farm on Monday, but we were all making Easter eggs earlier today, which was kind of cool. We've never really done that. And then actually tomorrow we're Lachelle's mom lives at the lake, right, or at the ski hill. So she's going to go hide a bunch of stuff around the yard, and then we're going to go there with the kids, and she's going to watch from the balcony as they all do an Easter egg hunt. So that's kind of going to be our family Easter. So it's been interesting to see, you know, the different things that people are doing or thinking of to not go crazy. So we're pretty lucky. We've got a lot of space to play in here, and I kind of do feel for the people in the cities, especially in apartments and big high rises and stuff like that. It's limited park access, and that's actually something we were thinking about at the farm. We've got right across the creek there's a triangle patch. There's probably 40 or 50 acres there. That's wildlife land. It's and there's no cattle in there. And I was just thinking, we've had some of our staff bring their kids out to walk along in the creek in the bushes because they can't really do anything in town. And so one of the things they're thinking about is maybe just setting it up so people could come out there and have walking paths or whatever, just because even like parks and stuff are closed. And how do you get in touch with nature, right? Which is pretty important. But anyways, we'll see what happens.
That's a good line of thought. So this weather will turn eventually here, and then it'll be a different spring, but nonetheless. So I'm going to go decorate eggs right now. So thanks, guys.
Have a good weekend, buddy.
Okay. Bye.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.